Hi, welcome back to another episode of 100 Apps, 100 Hours, where we try to build your suggestions or some of your favorite apps in 1 hour or less using Directus or publicly fail, die on the vine trying to build something. If you're new to the show, there are only 2 rules. The first rule is we have 60 minutes to plan and build. No more, no less. The second rule is the anti-rule. Use whatever you have at your disposal. So, them's the breaks. Let's dive into today's episode. Right, we're going to be building an events platform, a virtual events platform. Now, that sounds to me very, very vague. Could mean a lot of things to a lot of different folks. But what kind of products are we talking about? So Zoom comes to mind as far as like registering a meeting and performing that meeting. You know, maybe you've got some interactivity like a chat, some registration. You know, you've seen this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful registration page before, I'm sure. Not knocking you, Zoom, but like with all the engineers that you guys have, why is this the best that we get for a registration page? Eesh, I don't like it. Other softwares that I've looked at, like Demo Hop is an interesting one that has like a science fair where there's a bunch of different booths. Some of the other ones like Livestorm. There's a ton of these different webinar platforms, every way that you slice it. But what I've discovered and just in my own experience with these over the years, it's nice to have your own. So that's what we're going to be building today. We're going to be building our own events platform. Let's run through it. We'll start the clock, pull up 60 minutes, and away we go. Okay. So I am in FigJam here. Let's just kind of mock out our functionality that we like or what we're looking to see out of this particular app. So as far as our functionality, this is a nice serif font. Maybe we underline that as well. Great. All right, so what do we want to do? We wanted to set up, we can't have all of it underlined. That's not cool. Set up an event, allow registrations, have a public landing page, registration page. What else do we want? Do we want to have chat during the event? Maybe we want to have different rooms for the event. You think of virtual event, it could just be hey, it's a workshop, it's a webinar. It could also be like a week-long leap week, like we do here at Directus. So maybe we have rooms for that. This seems like I'm getting way in over my head, so we'll stop there, and then let's kind of just flesh out our data model for this a bit. So in my mind, what are we gonna have? We're gonna have events. Okay, we got that nice purple color. Maybe we'll make this a little bit bigger so we can see it. So we've got events, and then we're gonna have users or attendees. That's going to be our Directus _users collection. We'll just pick that up. Directus gives us that out of the box. No reason not to use it. Amazing. And then I would imagine there's a junction table here, right? Where we could have multiple events. So these will be like registrations, maybe. Naming stuff is always the hardest part of development. So we got registrations. Draw some arrows, just connect these in your mind as well. Great. And then what else? If we jive with the rooms, we could have rooms as well, right? Each room has a different topic, some schedule, etc. If we think of like our events, they're going to have a date, start date, duration, or maybe an end date. Title, description. What else are we gonna have? Registrations, obviously. Probably an image. Schedule, potentially. Yeah. Cool. All right. Getting too carried away. Anyway, let's actually start building something, right? This feels just roughly what we're looking for. So let's dive into it, right? What have I got set up for this? I'm just going to close all these other things. I have a Directus instance. I've got a Nuxt 3 application, just a starter application set up. I've just got a login and register function. I don't even think the register actually works on this thing, but that's what we're working with. Let's go ahead and get logged into our Directus instance. What did I set the password to? I think it's just password. Real secure. All right, so we've got a blank instance. I've got my Fig Jam over here on the left. Got Directus on the right. 125% zoomed in. And let's just dive in, right? Our first collection, we're going to start here with our events. And we'll create a new collection for that. Let's give it a UUID. When it was created, when it was updated. Those are all great. Let's do status as well for like published events, draft events, completed events. Let's just take a look at that, right? So we have published, we have draft, we have archived. I could go in and flesh these out further if I wanted to, or we could just leave it at that. Maybe draft is the default. That's good. Solid. All right, so here we're going to have a name for the event or a title. The event title. That's just going to be a string. A description of this. We want to be the anti-zoom here, so we're going to make this a text field using the WYSIWYG interface for Directus. We're going to call it description. That's our key. And I could adjust our toolbar if I wanted to. Maybe I want to add undo and redo. I'm not a big fan of underline, so I'll just remove that. If I need to, I can dive into advanced field creation mode. And specifically with the WYSIWYG editor, you've got some formatting options here and options overrides that you could pass to the TinyMCE instance if you need to. Like maybe you have a special class for buttons or something like that that you want to display inside that WYSIWYG editor. All right, let's add an image for this. So just a single image. We could potentially have multiple images, but we'll just keep it simple. That's what we're going to show on a card. As I'm imagining this on the front end, it's just like a running list of events or maybe a grid of cards for the events. When you get inside the event, you've got to register. Then once you register, maybe you can see the schedule for the event. Cool. So as far as something like a schedule, right? How should we set this up? If I'm not really sure, like one of the things that I do a lot, I'm not really sure what this is going to look like immediately. Instead of creating another table, I may use something like the repeater, which is basically a JSON type field. That's what it's going to save as our inside our SQL database. But let's just call it schedule. And then I could go within this and edit fields to repeat, like a set of fields. So, I don't know, like a speaker. That would probably be something else. Let's just say the name or label. Okay. We'll do a string. That requires a value. What's the name of this thing? And the interface would be an input. And then we could do something like time, date, time, start time, start time. Sounds great. That's what we'll roll with. Let's make that full width. And then we'll use the timestamp format. We'll require value. Maybe we don't require value. May not need to pick a time. Maybe we're just showing a schedule in order. When does this thing start? Cool. All right. Sweet. So now we have some events, or at least the start of something for events. Let's go in and go back to the data model settings. We're just going to do registrations, and we'll do like a date created, user created. Do we even? I don't even think we need this. Status. Do we have a status for the registration? Maybe it's canceled or something like that. I'm reading too much into it, right? So here's the date created. Maybe I want to actually show this, so I'll click the drop down, show that field. Maybe we make it full width, just in case. And for our registrations, we're going to start digging into our relationships, right? So when I think of a registration, we've got the event that registration belongs to, and we've got the user that made the registration. So those are both going to be basically many to one relationships. So we'll go in for the key. We'll add the event. We'll just do events. And for our display template, let's use the title. I can already tell that I forgot to input my start and end date for the event. Amazing. So we'll have to go back and fix that as well, but there's our event. Let's go ahead and create our relationship to the users. So we'll say the user that's registered, or this could be like the attendee. Again, naming stuff is hard. Cut me some slack. All right, so I want to pick the Directus _ users collection. I'm just going to dig into the systems drop down here, or system. Choose Directus users. I can get fancy with the display on this. Give them the avatar with a nice little thumbnail. We'll do first name, last name. And behind the scenes, this is just mustache syntax. So I can edit these raw values if I want. Do it that way, or I could just pick from the drop down. That's great. We don't want to create new users from this. We could potentially select users. Great. Okay. So that's our basic data model. Why do we have event? Some type of bug. All right. Regardless, we have events. We have registrations. Let's go in and add our start time for this. How could I forget? So in this case, we want to save the time zone value. So we're going to use timestamp. This is going to be the start date. Maybe we have an end date for this, or potentially a duration. I guess you could do either or both. You could potentially even use flows to calculate that if you wanted to. But this is good. Let's add some icons just to fancy it up a little bit. My friend Kevin on the team here would be sweating if he watched me add these icons, but there's always room for design. Cool. All right. So we've got events. Let's create our first event, right? What are we going to call this? Let's call it Leap Week number 2000, Leap Week 2000. We are taking a huge leap forward for Directus. Join us as we take a huge leap forward for Directus. Lots of cool stuff. Let's add some formatting to this as well. Thing 1, thing 2, thing 3. Cool. All right. And then let's add an image for this, right? So let's just search Directus Leap Week and see if we can grab. Do we have any images? We got a couple laying around. Cool. So we'll save this image. Is that right? Hope that's the right image. We'll just upload that. Everything announced at our first Leap Week. And let's set a start date for this. Let's say May 15th. That's a good date. Maybe this runs 2-3 days. Great. So for our schedule, we've got workshop with Bryant. That is on I forget what day we did this now. The 17th. Oh, that's May 17th. Not April 17th, Bryant. All right. Let's say that is at 3. Great. Cool. So I can fill out the schedule workshop with Kevin. Go for the 15th at, let's go to the 16th at 1 p.m. Great. All right, so now we've got our event. Maybe let's just drag this out a little bit. Move this around. Hey, okay. One of the other things that I forgot here is probably like a slug, right? I want a nice URL on the front end. So we'll go back into events. We'll just create a new field for it. We're going to use the input, call it a slug. The other thing that I'm going to do is go in and make this URL safe. So we could slugify this thing. Now, one of the other cool things with the addition of the marketplace, let's look for like a slug. Permalink interface to enter URL slugs. Is this what we're looking for? No. WP slug interface. Yeah, this is cool. All right, let's try this out. We'll hit refresh, install this extension. Didn't have this on the first season of 100 apps, 100 hours. But now I could go into our interface and we could choose the slug interface. And our template is going to come from the title and we'll auto-generate on create. Let's try that, see what we got. Maybe shrink the title, the slug. Cool. All right, so now we got a couple settings. We can hit auto-generate. Generates this nice slug, and it looks a lot like the old days of WordPress. I mean, WordPress is still around, obviously, but this is nice. I like it. All right, so we've got events, we've got registrations. What do we do next, right? We're going to look at access control. So this is our settings of who has access to what inside Directus. There's 2 default roles, public and administrator. Let's make the public roles. We want to be able to view the events. We don't want anybody to edit events. And then for as far as registrations, maybe we want to be able to create registrations and then maybe just read. You know what? Let's give full access to that. And that should be maybe what we want. Enough to play around with, right? So now what are we going to do, right? Let's dive into the front end of this application. All right, so I'm going to pull this up. Again, I've just got a Nuxt application here, and let's flesh out a couple of routes. Index.view. We can make this just a list of our events. All right, so we're going to go in. I've got Directus configured as a Nuxt plugin here. It's just got some authentication in it. We've got real time in case we ever needed it. And then we've just got the REST client. That's the way I prefer it. And we just provide that to the Nuxt application. So we'll call that up like this. Const Directus equals use Nuxt app. And in this case, we're probably going to do like read items as well. So we'll grab that from port items from the @Directus SDK. And all right, what's next, right? So we're going to do some data. We'll use await use async data. And we'll do return Directus dot request read items, and we're reading from the events collection, and then I have a query for different parameters, right? We want to show, maybe we only want to show published events, right? So I could do this. We'll just say status equals published. Thank you, GitHub Copilot. Let's see what that gets us. Directus. Cool. Maybe we scrap all of this. Do we even need this to be flexed? Probably not. All right, let's see what we got. Data. Just wrap this in like a pre-tag. See if we get any actual data, right? So we've set up this filter. We're not getting any data because I'm assuming we did not publish this event, right? So if I go in and publish this, let's see what we have now. Okay, cool. So we have our event information. What can we do with this, right? So I do also have the like Nuxt UI library built into this. So if you just go to ui.nuxt, using that, it's got, it's some components already built in for buttons and cards and things like that. Cool. So without getting too fancy on the UI, let's just mock something up now that we could see we've got some actual data, right? We got a div. We add some padding. UI12, UI6. We add a... do we even need an H1? Let's call it H2. This will be font bold. Text. Let's make the text large. And let's make it mono. Font mono. All right, so we'll be events. See what we got there. There's our events. And now let's do a grid, right? So we'll just do a div to wrap this. Just grid. Maybe grid calls to on like a breakpoint. Maybe we set the gap to 8. And then we're going to do a v4, right? So for our events, let's just use this card. I think there's a card component in here. Got like a nice card component. It is uCard. Got like a header and a footer, or we could just throw it in the middle. So let's do that, right? v4. We're going to do events and data. And usually I like to destructure this. Maybe we call it events. And for the key here, we'll use event ID. That way we don't have to use like an index or something like that. And then we'll actually do this. All right, so is there actual... I think there's like a text component here. So let's just do like an H3. Maybe we just take the auto completion here from GitHub Copilot. We'll do a little Nuxt image to optimize these images. Works very well with Directus. There's a provider for it. Then we've got the event.image. We use the event title. That seems pretty good. Let's see what we come up with here. Sweet. Except for our description, right? This kind of sucks because it is not what we want. So in this case, we'll do div. Let's do vhtml event.description. And remove that. Great. It has no formatting. Maybe we've got... do I have Tailwind? We got pros class? Yeah, there we go. All right, so we've got that. And let's add a link for this, right? Maybe we add a little spacing here. nt4. Maybe we make that. Add a little spacing here. nt2. nt8. That's great. Cool. So now we've got an event looking really nice. I could duplicate this event if I wanted to. Let's just see what this looks like with a couple more events. We're going to call this Leap Week 3000. Flesh this out. And what I'm going to do here, we're just going to open this image up. I'm going to get really fancy on this, guys. And we'll just mark this up. Scribble this out. 3000. Ooh, so fancy. All right. For Leap Week 3000, we're going to close this out, upload a new photo. We can see that's leap week 3000. And then what I'm going to do here is click save and copy from the 3-dot menu button. And now I've got 2 events. We've got leap week 2000, leap week 3000. There we go. Amazing. Okay. All right. So now we need a route for our actual event, right? So let's set this up. Let's actually add a folder for it just in case we have a couple of other routes within that. And then for our events, we're going to have a slug.view. So that's just going to be a dynamic route. We'll view, I think it's a knit, view a knit. What does that give me? That's not the syntax that I like. It'll do. Trying to make it fancy. I need to get my snippets set back up. I had to scrap VS Code, lost all my snippets. All right, so we got a slug. We're gonna use the route here. So we got route equals use route. Cool. And then on the individual page, right, we want to call the specific data. And maybe we don't even need this full description on our index page. So we could potentially leave that off. Maybe we just make it the event start date. But we may want to use that in here. And let's use just like a date function. I think it's format from date fns format. Oh, not currency. I'm gonna do format. What do we got? DDD month DD. What does that get us? It doesn't get you anywhere because it breaks it. Forgot the year. I guess it's all lowercase. MN. Okay, yeah, still got a ways to go memory wise. So date FNS, just a handy library. We got format. What's the date? What are we looking for? Like month is going to be MMM. I like that one. So we'll do MMM. And what if we do like the ordinal of the dates? Day of the month, DO. That's what we want. Now we're looking nice. Okay. And then we want to do the time, right? So maybe we show the time. Local day of the week, AM, PM. What this is going to be. H. What minute? M. MM. And then we've got AM, PM, AAA. Wasted too much time on this. Okay. All right, so we got that. Let's go in and just wrap this card in a Nux link, or at least the content of the card. We'll do 2, and let's make this dynamic. That'll be /events/ event.slug. Oh, forgot to close that. Cool. All right, so now we've got the links set up so we can click on these and move to the route. We don't really have anything inside our route though, right? So I could take this function here, just copy that in, and here we're still going to be reading items, right? I'm going to call this event. In addition to status, I guess we can set this up where if you call it directly, even if it's draft, maybe you want to see it. So let's just do this. We'll say slug equals route.params.slug. That should get us the event that we want. And then the actual event here, we're going to do like a transform function, a nice little part that's baked into the use async data call, that composable inside Nuxt, where basically this is going to return an array. I could transform this and just pick up the first item of this array. And now if we do this, just do a little pre-class. Again, I always like to do this just to see what data I'm getting back. And now we've got just the specific data object for this item. All right, what's next, right? We're going to dive into building this actual page, right? So let's give it a nice H1 tag. We've got font bold, font mono, text. Let's make this giant. We're going to do the event.title. Okay, leap week 3000. What else do we have? If I dig into the clipboard, I've got that event description. We can make this prose large. Maybe we wrap that. Let's move down. We'll do another div. Throw this in to an image, event.image, class W96. Where's our actual image at? Okay, there's our image. We could flex these two, add a little bit of padding. I mean, this is not going to win any design awards, but hey, it'll be all right. We'll just take these items from the first one. Let's put this below. Do we have our dates? Uh-oh. Got to actually import that function, don't we? Imports format from date fn's functions, I guess. All right, so we got our date. Add a little margin to the top, looking great. And then what if we wanted to show that schedule, right? So maybe we drop down over here on the left. We have a list. And within the list, take a little GitHub completion. That's not really what we're looking for. It's going to be the item inside the event.schedule. For the key, we just do the item.label. And then we have, yeah, I was wasting more time using the GitHub suggestions. Item.label, item, we'll just steal this format, and can we do this as well? Dash HMMAA. What does that give us? Does that get us where we want? Okay, so now we can see the schedule. We can drop a little schedule class list inside list disk. I guess is that the list item? Why do we? Why does that look weird? Not sure. Not gonna bother with it. Let's do font bold, font mono, NT8. Okay, cool. What else we got? So we got the schedule, right? Good. We got a page. We could go back to our events. Yeah, maybe we add a link for that up here somewhere in the top. Next link to equals slash event slash, I think it's just slash, back to main list of events. All right, cool. We got all this going on. We could go into Leap Week 3000. We could go to Leap Week 2000. How are we doing on time? We are cruising on time. All right, so how do we set up registration, right? Let's go in, and what we're going to do, we're going to need to basically authenticate the user first. So we got to have a user to register. And I am going to cheat here and use like a SSO, like register with GitHub. I've used this in a past project. So I've just got some code over here. We're going to go in, and inside my env or my Docker Compose file, I would set this up. I'm missing the client secret and client ID from GitHub. So I'll go inside my GitHub account. We're going to go to developers. We'll go to applications. Is it authorized? No. Developer settings. OAuth apps. We're going to create a new OAuth app. Call it Events Platform. Super secret. The homepage URL will be HTTPS. We'll just use Directus. We need this callback. And just from past experience, the structure for this is going to be my Directus instance /auth /login /provider. So we're using GitHub. That's going to be the provider. We're going to use that callback. Great. And then I can get my client ID. I can get my client secret. We'll just have to use a password, log in, get the secret. Don't steal my secrets, bro. Okay, and then the last piece of the puzzle here is we need a default role for that specific user. So what we're going to do, we'll go into Directus. Let's create a new role for attendee. And we're not going to give them app access. We're just going to save it. I'm going to pick up the actual ID for this role. I can see it over here. That's the primary key. We'll paste that in there. I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to stop this container, Docker Compose up one more time. And the effect I should get if I load this again, now I can see this login with GitHub function. So I could actually log in with GitHub. And let's see. Oh, yeah, I'd have to actually do my username. Maybe we swap this out. All right, we go to localhost 8055, log in, admin and example password. All right, and then I log out here. We could test this out, but I could also do this on the front end as well, right? So let's go back to our page. All right, so I'm going to stick a big registration button over here somewhere. And I think I've got one in this register. Is it the register form or the login form? Do I have it? Yeah, there we go. I got this button that I've used previously. We're going to go to our event page. We'll save this, uncomment this button. I don't really need the divider label. All right. So I'm with GitHub to register. Cool. And here you can see I've got a redirect just basically to a different page. We're going to make this size XL. Giant button. Just add a class to it. Give it a little more padding. Duplicate attribute. Oh, empty 12. We don't want to duplicate that class. All right. So what is this going to do? This should ask me to log in. Once access to my GitHub account, we authorize, and now I've got like the index page. So if I go here, if I'm signed in, right, probably getting some errors here because we did not give permissions to that specific account or that specific role, right? So for our attendee role, we want them to view all the events. We want them to create registrations. Maybe they can view the registrations where the user equals current underscore user. All right, we're gonna have to run like hell here. Apologies for the curse words, right? So, okay, I look at my next state, I've got a use state composable that's actually storing our user data. So I should be able to see that user data. I've got the ID of the user. Do I have any other information about it? Maybe that's really all I need, right? So let's try this. We'll do const user equals use state user. Will that give us access to the user? And if we have a user, we can hide this button. And maybe if vf no user. Okay. And then maybe we add another button. Register. And on this one, we're going to add a click handler. It's going to be register for event. Okay. How's that looking? VF user. Cool. And now we need a function for that, right? So this is going to be an async function because we're going to call Directus. We are going to import, we need the create item. Okay, async function, register for event. We're going to call that. Okay, we'll do a try. Await Directus request, registrations, event.id. That's going to be an actual reactive value, so we'll just add unref on that. We can add that around the user too, just to be safe. And cool. What else do we do? Response. You know, I could just console log this response just to verify. All right, so let's take a look. If I clear out my network request, we hit register. We've got registrations. Cool. Great. So now we're registered for this event. If I open my Directus instance back up, where are you, Mr. Directus instance? We have registered for this event. I could see this specific user here. Maybe I wanted to send an email for this. Let's see how we're doing on time. Got roughly 20 minutes of remaining. We're cruising. So let's send an email event for the registrations. Send registration email. Registration email. Great. We'll go in. Event hook. So anytime an event happens, in this case we want the action. So after this action happens, we're not going to block the thread. Anytime the new registration, it's great. Let's fetch the actual data, right? So we're going to read the, let's just call it get registration, find registration, whatever you want to call it. From the trigger, we're going to use full access, and collection here is going to be registrations. And basically what we're going to do here, I'm going to drill through the related fields. So we're going to do this. We're going to get all the root level fields of the registration. I don't really need to do that, but we've got the event. I'm going to do $$ symbol. Or dot asterisk, I'm sorry. And then the user, we're going to get the user details. User dot, okay. Savvy. What am I forgetting? Oh, dum. Should only be using quotation marks. All right. Okay, so that should give us the fields for the registration and should give us our related data. And now we're going to actually send this email out. So we'll send the email. Oh, actually, let's back up. We'll save that. I do need the key for this. So I need to figure out what IDs we have. That's going to be $trigger dot key. I think it's just going to be trigger dot key. We're using that $sign as a special operator just to access the actual trigger data. That's the only operation, though, that we need to append or prepend that $sign to actually access that data. All right, so we've got the get registration. So this is what our email is going to be. It's going to be get_registration dot user dot email. We'll save that to you are registered for get_registration dot event dot title. I think that's what it is. And what are we gonna do? Here's the URL to access the event. All right, and then we'll say link, and then we can add the link for this. And for our link, we're gonna have what? HTTP localhost 3000 /events /get registration.event.slug. Okay. All right, so we've got this. Let's hit save. We save. And now we cross our fingers, right? I'm going to go back. We'd probably need to get our registrations for each user, but I'm just going to go in and register. We'll see if this flow actually ran. So I can see the flow here. Did we get anything wrong? That looks really nice. Let's check my email address. Boom, there's our email. And if I click the link, boom, there's our page, right? Amazing. All right, so what do we want to do? We probably need to check registration, but what happens if they're registered, the time is starting, we want to show this specific event. All right, so one of the tools that I've used in the past is called Whereby. They have this nice embedded functionality where you can create a video call or a webinar experience on your own site. So that's huge, especially for folks like me that want to build their own tools that are very design oriented. I refer to myself as a recovering designer. We're going to go in. I could create a room with no code, but the more interesting bit here is creating this via the API, right? So let's take a look at how we do this really quickly. We want to embed Whereby into our app. They have a web component for this, but we have to generate the room first, right? So here is create a transient room. I don't know what a transient room means, but embedding. I guess that's what we want, is a transient room. Create some transient room that is available between creation and an hour after the given end date. All right, so here's the post request. Here's the structure of this. We probably need to get an API key to do this as well. So let's go into my Whereby application. We'll go to developer guide. No. We'll go to settings. Members, profiles. Where is my API key? Configure, generate an API key. Okay. Event platform. Okay, there's our API key. We close. We've got that. All right, so let's change up our data model just a little bit, where we're going to add the event So for our event, we've got a whereby room. Actually, let's go back in and we'll just set this up. Let's add our rooms to this, right? Room. All right. Date created. We'll just add all of this. Fancy. All right. Each room is going to be attached to an event. So we'll have a many to one on the events collection, or to the events collection. And if I go into advanced field creation mode, I'm going to go in and add the reverse, right? So on the events collection, we're adding a rooms field that will have an array of the rooms. Cool. All right, so we got events. And then we're just going to have what? A whereby room URL. All right, let's see if we can get this done in time. We are crunching for time. All right. Okay. So now we'll say anytime we create a room, let's create a whereby room. Create whereby room. So anytime we create a new room within an event, we're going to trigger a webhook request. So action non-blocking, items create, rooms. And we're going to call the API for whereby. We're going to, I think it's a post request, right? The header, we're going to be authorization. Bearer, might include that token that I had. All right, so where'd we go? Create meeting. API meetings. Post request, content type. I'll add that header. Content type, application, JSON. Amazing. We'll go in. The end date is what we need. End date is the only thing that is actually required. So we'll do end date. We'll just copy what they have here. Oh, I think I missed one. 2024 11. I'm just going to hard code this for now. We'll say 425. Push it a couple weeks out. So the room mode is probably something we're going to set as well, just because we want it to be a large room. Room mode. Group. Okay, and then we've got our request body. That should give us what we want. And then the response is going to be a room URL. All right, so then we're going to update. Oh, I had it right. We'll update room. Okay, we got rooms. We got from the, let's do full access, and we'll say, what's it going to be? Trigger.payload. Trigger.key, actually. Should be. All right, and then the payload. What did I call this? Whereby room URL. Okay, and then we'll populate that data. Whereby dot data. What's going to come back from this? We'll say room URL. Cool. Let's run it and see what we got. So we'll go to this event, Leap Week 2000. We'll create a new room. Maybe we need a title for this room as well. Let's add that. Title. All right, so we add a new room under Leap Week 2000. Let's add a new room. This is a test room for whereby. And we save this. Did it update? No, it didn't. There's something going on. Create whereby room. What did we get? Bad request. Why did we get a bad request? Whereby body Indate room mode. Is there something else that we're missing? Content body.json.stringify. Room mode equals group. Room URL. Eek. Whereby embedded? Where is this? Configurable room pages. Directus plus. Where's this developer guide? Embedding whereby in an application, the web component is included in our SDK. Man, we're just gonna cheat. It's not cheating, right? We'll just create a room. This is gonna be a large room. No cloud recording. We're not gonna record this. We're not gonna do any automatic streaming. We'll just set this up for the end of April. Room prefix. Leap week 2000. Create the room. All right, there's a participant link for the room. We could go in and customize this room, but hey, we're running short on time. All right, so now we go back. Where's the embed, right? We got this web component. We are going to install. All right, so we go to node, pnpm at whereby browser, pnpm I at whereby browser. Oh, we're cutting this extremely close. We'll wait for that to install. Okay. pnpm dev. All right, so we're gonna go back to our events. We'll do rooms, slug. No, this will be room ID. That's what we'll roll with. Room.id. I'm just gonna paste basically all of this, right? All right, we'll sort this out. We're gonna request the room. We're going to actually read an item because we're going to have the ID, read item. And then we should be the route.params.id. I think that's going to give us what we want. We don't need to transform that. The room data. And then we're going to need to import this as well. So we got this imported. Read room, Directus.request. All right, let's see if we can actually get this working in time. P room.title, nothing fancy. And then we have this whereby embed. And we can make this pull in. We've got room. Whereby room URL. Is this actually going to get us done? And then within the event, we actually need to list those rooms. So URL class liv4 room in event.rooms key equals room.id. Okay, hit me. Where are we at time-wise? We got like 3 minutes left. Let's see if we can actually get a list of the rooms. Where's the rooms? Where are the rooms? We did not set this up. We need to view all the rooms. Do we actually see the room? Where did I put that room? Where is it? What event is it under? Leap Week 2000. It's under Leap Week 2000. Why are we not seeing it? Why are we not seeing you, Mr. Rooms? Slug. Event. We don't see the rooms. Okay. All right, then. Again, we'll just improvise. Rooms. Slash. Not the right route. Events/rooms. Document is not defined. It's client only, isn't it? Whereby room. Maybe we wrap this in client only. Is that gonna fix it? Oh no. What is it? Can you do? I think you can do client only pages. Let's see what we got. Page not found. PNPM dev rooms.id. Oh, come on, man. We can do this. We can do this. Are we going to get it? I don't think we're going to get it. Page not found. Why are we not finding the room? What am I doing wrong? Rooms. Oh, duh. There it is. Is that right? No. Directus.request.read item. Rooms. Route.params.id. Why are we not getting the rooms? What is our request coming back from Directus? No match found. Events, rooms. We are running out of time. We don't have time for this. Document is not defined. Okay, so that was working correctly. We're just not finding the room. Return, request, read items, rooms, route.params.id. Should be events/rooms.id. Boom. We ran out of time. Not sure exactly where things have went wrong here. Things happen sometimes, though. Page not found. We are not finding it. Don't know where we went wrong. Route.params.id. Should be there. It is not. Sometimes you have to admit defeat. So unfortunately, we have not completed the things that we needed to. Let's take a run at this and just give a recap, right? So what did we do? We had set up an event, allow registrations. We had a public landing page. We had room support, but we did not get to the actual event platform. So this is a pretty neat experience, though. If you want to check out Whereby, really cool for building these things, you can actually go to this room. Now you can see that I can request permissions from this, and you can actually serve this inside your application. Super helpful thing. So that is this episode of 100 Apps, 100 Hours. I hope you enjoyed it. What a fun ride. We'll catch you on the next one.